My name is Billy Domingo. I'm with ESP Africa, part of the AEEI group. And it's my distinct pleasure and honor today to introduce the group CEO, Mr. Khalid Abdullah, will come and present to you today. And I think you're going to be extremely surprised and impressed. So without further ado, Mr. Khalid Abdullah. Thank you.
Anyway, but thanks guys, thanks for coming. I know we're all very busy and we're all trying to keep up with our own business challenges, especially this time of the year, so it is a crazy time. We're obviously here to tell the story again of AEEI, which I have every year. This year is slightly different because, as you know, in the last 12, 18 months, we listed 2 of our subsidiaries. So the group is getting to the point of what we planned 5 years ago. It's becoming an investment holding company with some operations. The operational business we've built up over the while to unlock value, we list them separately, is all part of a plan. And one thing I was telling one of the analysts earlier on, I said, sometimes we don't celebrate enough, okay, because we believe that over the last 3 to 5 years, the plan came together spot on. In fact, it exceeded our expectation. What I mean by that is that we said in 2015, when we set the 2020 vision, we said that we'll list our IT and our fishing business separately. The market wanted to believe, didn't believe, whatever it was. However, we've done it. We probably would have listed it later, maybe this year. There was some criticism why we list 2 companies last year, 2017. In March, we did the premiere. And we did the other one in December. As you know, we're the first company to list 2 companies on the Johannesburg Stock Exchange, in fact, in the world. We were the first company to open the JSE or stock exchange in the beginning of the year, and we're the first company to list a separate one and close the JSE or the stock exchange at the end of the year. So that's one of a kind, never done in the world. And I mean, we've got a note from the JSE saying that it's unprecedented internationally. Second to that, and I think here is obviously. And second to that is, again, the biggest celebration. It just shows that our boards, our executive team, our management, when they put their head down, they think very strategically. We were going to be listing the fishing and the IT business a bit later. We got together, we discussed with certain of our major stakeholders, very intellectual, very strategic people. We research the world, we understand. One thing the group does understand is capital markets, whether it's myself, the stakeholders. We understand it very well. We underplay it, but I think we called it right last year. We wanted to list those companies before the market turned. This year the market turned, hence we got in just in time. So no matter what the market says, as you know, there's a lot of fake news and naysayers. We forge on. IO came out with results yesterday, excellent results, 30 cents per dividend, 30 cents per share dividend. Yes, the people say, look, but they haven't even gone anywhere yet. They're sitting with all the money, and they said thank you to the shareholders. The shareholders are happy. The money also that's been spent since then has been spent very wisely, and I think that's why the stakeholders, they called us this morning and said they're very happy. They believe what we said we're achieving, because normally you'd get multiples of 10, 12. We hold our ground. We've got the cash. We want to negotiate, and I think that comes through. And in fact, the dividend we gave to or IO gave to the shareholders, the way they explained it to us this morning is that that's the savings that they made on deal flow, which they could have overspent, but they didn't. And I think the stakeholders, including AEEI, as a 49% shareholder, we welcome that, and we also want to thank the management and directors of IO for thinking of it in that light. Okay, so before, I must just make some qualifications. The accounting profession has gone absolutely ape. Okay, so, and in fact, I bumped into one of a lecturer that taught me a while ago. I bumped into him about a month ago, and I posed a question to him, and he said to me, you know what? That's why I retired, because everything these days you got to normalize. You know, the IFRS wants you to represent in certain things, but to make proper decisions and management decisions, you got to unravel it, normalize it. And for us, you know, we like to answer the questions before they get asked. So we've tried to present the numbers in a way as best as possible. We'll do it on an IFRS basis, which we have to. We'll also unwrap it for you to show you how the cash profit of the business works compared to deemed disposal and others. So during this financial year, we lost control of IO. Not that we sold shares, but we issued more shares. We went down from 80%. We issued more shares. We went down to 49, which means that the accounting treatment for a business like that is now equity accounting associate rather than consolidating. So we had to change the numbers on the revenue and profit basis last year and this, so we got comparative. Hence, you'll see the restatement, not because it's an error or otherwise. It was restated to give the market a true reflection of exactly where we are. However, I have got a slide in to show, assuming we didn't sell it, what the results would have looked like. So it's quite important for you to understand, especially this year, seeing that we've lost control during this financial year. So at least you can also compare apples and apples. Okay, so let's keep going. Most of you know what the slide structure will look like. I think we changed it the last year. But it's important, I see new faces. People always still asking me, what does the company do? I heard a question, it's very diversified. It's diversified by design. Again, another success of the group, we called it right. Don't have all our eggs in one basket, and you'll see how that strategy has worked very well for us. So I'm going to talk to the key highlights for people who haven't been, or people who are. The understanding of the group has changed slightly, which I'll take you through. I'll give you divisional highlights, market information, our Vision 2020, which we've already achieved this year. We probably need to, my chairman is putting a lot of pressure on me to think of 2025 and 2030. I said to him, it's been a hell of a year, I need a bit of a break, and I'll start in Jan. Network and the values that we add, and our brands, obviously, our brands have grown over time, and you'll see some very nice brands coming through. And then I'll conclude again with the results. My presentation will be about half an hour maximum, and I'll allow questions, question times. Okay, so the condensed financials, as you can see, it's you need a master's degree to decide how that all fits together, right? However, the key thing here, obviously, is that there's a deemed disposal of a subsidiary. That's IO. However, as you know, it's lost, but it's not lost. The value created. In fact, last year we had the value of IO sitting at 3 billion. It's now up to 6 into our mind. It's at a bit of a low because of the market currently. However, if you look at the profit, the IO results had to be disclosed separately as a discontinued operations. So we showed at the bottom, and you can see the kind of profitability that's come through from IO compared to the past. So I'll unwrap or unpack all of this in more detail to give you more clarity. But again, I'm happy to answer questions around it. But as you can see, most of the trends are all upwards. And I'm also going to unwrap the whole accounting to show you what the actual cash profits are. Because cash is king. Fair values and deemed values are exactly what it is. And you'll see that I'm comfortable that the group has grown significantly year on year. So after taking out the revenue for IO, as you can see, we had to adjust that number as well. So last year we had R1 billion worth of revenue, which we had to take out the IT portion, and we had to compare this year without the IT as well. So if you compare these numbers here, it's excluding the IT. The IT profit comes out separately. So anyway, having said that, the revenue is still up by 22%, excluding the IT. Gross profits up also by 22%. So as I said, if you unwrap and unpack the previous slide, our cash profit in the business 266 million compared to 139 million last year. So to demystify it, fair values, deemed values, if you strip all that out, this company is in a strong position, growing year on year by 91%. So that's the take home. The fair values, I mean, like I said, that's where you need a master's degree to kind of unravel it all. This is the one that we run our business on. If there's no cash, there's no profits. So again, just to unwrap it again, the highlights, the revenue, as said, is that the profit for the group, which obviously includes the deemed disposal of IO. Again, if you look at the 130, that's the net cash. If you compare that to the actual cash profit, that's a good conversion to cash. So again, it proves that there's absolute cash in the business and the cash profit is there. The total assets has increased by 161. That's again the unlock of the value, particularly on the IO and Premier we did last year as well. So if you look at the kind of growth that we expected, for our Vision 2020, we expected the growth to double. I think it was on 1.5 billion. It's meant to be 3. We've way exceeded that anyway. If you look at the net asset value, we're sitting on 10 rand net asset value. It's trading at a significant discount. The company, I think it's sitting at 4 rand, but then again, the whole market's generally down by 20, 25, 30% maybe. But I mean, we take a long-term view on all, and most of our shareholders take a long-term view, so I don't think there's too much discomfort. Again, the earnings per share, because of the unusual item there, is 10 rand. Again, the cash generation for the group is 174. That's the real number that the person looks at. And maybe we'll consider paying a dividend, obviously, for some of those who are interested. Again, the rest of it's obviously just the standard stuff. And again, you can see that as a group, and this is a consolidated group which only includes Premier and the rest. It excludes, and some of you would have seen IO's results, it excludes the 4.3 or 4.4 billion that IO still sits with, even though it's been listed for a while. There's been a lot of noise. The noise did slow us down. As an example, one of the multinationals contracts we got was meant to go live in February last year, or this year. It only went live in July because I believe it's purely due to irresponsible reporting and irresponsible leadership out in the market. Because of that, we've lost in IO at least 200 to 300 million rands worth of revenue for this current year. However, as I said, the group is quite strong. The AEEI group is sitting on 326. IO on their own as our associate is still sitting with about 4.3 billion. Okay, just to summarize again our key KPIs. This is what most of the management get rewarded on, not me, but there's a significant growth of 161%. The group net assets has gone up quite significantly from 1.2 to 4, or just under 5. The only thing that's come down is debt. We've only got 27 million rands worth of debt in this group. I mean, if you look at that compared to the group as a whole, it's quite minuscule. In fact, we can probably settle it tomorrow, but you know, sometimes it's healthy to keep a bit of debt. Again, the company net asset value is sitting on 7.2 billion, and the company NAV is sitting on 14 rand. So normally when you want to unpack or sell, or the shareholders say get rid of the businesses, that's the minimum that you would get on a fire sale, maybe a 10-20% discount. So it gives you a sense of where the share price should be. So understanding the group. So the diagram has changed slightly this year. Operational, we've got fishing because we control fishing. We've got 55%. The events and tourism we control. We've got about a 75% there. The health and beauty, effectively between 90 and 100% we control. The associates, we've got 2 associates currently now. The one, as you previously know, is BT, and the new one now is IO. And in the biotherapeutic is an R&D business, which we still have. And on the strategic side, you all know we've got some strategic investments, which we kind of have as partners of choice. And that area is also quite good for us in the long run. So let's talk about the fishing business. Again, the fishing business is the largest black-owned and managed fishing business in the country. We still maintain. It's a well-diversified product basket. It's got rock lobster, squid, octopus, cultivated abalone, pilchards, anchovies, and hake. We employ about 800 people now. I think it's increased, it's doubled in size for the last year, and I'll talk to that just now. Again, we've got all the accreditation, and our brands are very well liked overseas. And I'll talk to the competitive advantages as well in a second. Our product basket, I said, is a squid, South Coast rock lobster, that's the deep sea one. We've got West Coast rock lobster. We've got pelagic. We've got the hake. We've got aquaculture, mostly farmed, which I'll talk to as well, up in Gansbaai. And we've got wild abalone, small quota, but we also manage and assist the various outside quota holder with their abalone. We've got a small seafood business, Seagrow, and obviously we've got international food brands. Just to give you a sense, we've got 5 processing plants with almost 30 vessels. So the group has grown over time as well. And as you can see, our markets are very nicely diversified. Just as a point, South Coast rock lobster, we manage and control about 60% of that, and all gets exported to America. So we're the biggest exporter to America from South Africa. Our squid business, we are the biggest squid business in the country. South African squid is the #1 squid in the world for quality point of view. The squid that you eat at Ocean Basket, it's probably, if I can put it in rand terms, so you can make up your mind, it's probably you pay, on wholesale you'll pay $1 per kilogram. Our squid you'll get €7 per kilogram. So that's the difference in quality. And hence, more than likely none of you would have had South African squid on a plate in the restaurants. Okay, and Samir keeps a stash for his better stakeholders. So just to go back, and our abalone, obviously, you know, we have a farmed abalone, and later on I'll talk to it also. But you know, we've raised the capital also to increase the farm size. We had a 120 ton farm. We want to extend it to over 300. Samir's already got 40 tons complete almost, and we are going to do a site visit in the 4th of December, the 4th or 5th of December. So if anybody wants to take a drive out with us, we're going to get a bus with some drinks on there, but all non-alcoholic. So we're going to try and make a plan to go out there. So we'd like to know who's interested. If you can just give your name at the reception. Okay, so the competitive advantage, I said, we acquired Tolado, so now we're the largest squid player in South Africa, and the #1 quality squid in the world. We control 60% of the South Coast rock lobster, which goes to America. Again, the only reason these two products are not locally is that the market cannot absorb the pricing here. So, you know, the pricing we get internationally, it's way higher than what the restaurants are prepared to pay here. We also have 70% of the West Coast rock lobster. It's not all our lobster, but we work very well with the department to manage the outside quota holders. We've had some strategic meetings with the departments where they've asked us to assist smaller quota holders as in line with the plan of making sure the communities benefit a bit more. So they want to give the communities more quotas in the West Coast specifically in the next 2020. We believe that with our model we put in place 3 years ago, working with them, we're already managing more outside quotas on our own, and that's exactly talking to what the department and government wants to achieve. Okay, the pilchards, we're quite a small player, 7%. However, it's probably the 3rd biggest in the country. We normally auction that out. It's not worth a while opening up a factory ourselves unless that comes to at least a 15 to 20%. We don't foresee that. However, as it is now, most of our pilchards goes into either Lucky Star or it goes in Saldanha Bay, mostly Lucky Star. Because Oceania is quite aggressive in the way they want to produce. Otherwise, they'll have to import more quality pilchards. Whereas the African pilchard is probably the best quality as well internationally. Again, the facilities, I'm not going to go to the facilities, but we completely accredited facilities. The brands have become absolutely trusted. When we go to America, we go to China. For example, in America, they'll say to us, they want the agents will say they like the blue box. That's the premier box. And the same thing happens with Tolado as well. So, you know, when you know your brand is good, they won't even know the name, but they'll show you or point it out, you know, what it looks like. So we're very proud when we go over there because the demand for meetings for us, so it makes our day very hectic. So with the demand for meetings when we arrive there, it's 3 to 4 to 5. And if you have meetings in China, 3 meetings a day is a long day. Because in China, as it normally works, you have a meeting, you drink tea, you have a meeting, you discuss business, then you go for lunch, and then they want to show you the operation. So that's a 3-4 hour meeting per agent. In America, it's a little bit more different. However, it's still quite hectic. So the morning we arrive there, we have hectic schedules. In fact, we don't even, I keep saying then just keep a day in between, but you know, it's difficult. You also don't want to stay away from home too long. And again, the group pays above market returns. In fact, Premier Fishing, the shares trading between 4 and 4.50, and it paid 25 cents dividend. So you work it out. I mean, it's quite a good return. The key highlights for Premier, they bought Tolado, a control input in Tolado squid business. The revenue has increased by 20%, and that excludes the full impact of Tolado, because Tolado, we only took, because we had effective, well, so the effective date was 30th of November, 1st December. However, because Comcom only approved it on the 9th or 8th or 9th of May, we could only consolidate from the 8th or 9th of May. The profits in the busy season went straight to the balance sheet. So the cash we controlled, and that probably would have been a lot more. However, you can work out the numbers on the back of a matchbox and decide what the results look like next year. Again, the cash generated from operations 128% up from 40 to 91. Again, cash is king, and you can see the business effectively has doubled in size, unashamedly. Okay, the strong performance from the squid, the increase in stock holding at the abalone. As I said, the farm has already increased in size. The demand for abalone, just to give you a sense, the demand for abalone from the Far East is about 3,000 to 4,000 tons. For South African abalone, we can only produce as a nation here about 1,500 tons. So there's a serious demand for abalone. Hence, if we increased to a 300 ton, we will have absolutely no problem selling those things. Okay. Again, just the Tolado effect, we paid again 105 million for 50%, for just over 50%. It's the largest squid player, as I said to you. They produce about 2,500 tons of squid, which is quite significant. And that's what I was talking about. This was the 9th that we effectively we consolidated from. The squid season runs from November through to June, July. So which means that most of the profit actually comes in before, or came in before we could consolidate. The revenue contribution was 80 million. And the profit was 20 from the effective date. 20 million of the cash in it was contributed by the date of acquisition. So you can see the kind of value that we paid for or brought into the business, and the size of Premier Fishing. So Premier Fishing literally has doubled in size since the listing. And they're still sitting with 350 million. So we really don't waste money. If any of you know Samir, you'll know that's very true. Samir will pummel you, and I'll come afterwards and still ask for more. Anyway, just to give you highlights again here. So, Premier's revenue has moved from 410 to 490, and if you look at the profits, gone up by 42. But as I said, there's another 30 or 40 million, and which went straight to the balance sheet. And this is the normalized earnings, if I can put it that way. Again, there's one of them. So if we had to consolidate for the full year, it would have gone from 65 to 142. So it's an increase of 119%. So it's more than doubled. And we believe, by the way, the season is going well, or will be. It's the biomass for squid is looking very good. Just maybe a pause here. In fact, we try to find out why that's happened. You know, the funny thing is that we all had the droughts in it, and they reckon that when there wasn't droughts, a lot of muck used to go into the sea. This is one of the theories. A lot of muck used to go into the sea, and most of this is caught off Cape St. Francis and PE. Because of the drought, no muck went into the seas, and the biomass grew a lot better. So we're expecting, at least for the next 2 years, so we can't foresee further, that it will still do well. Okay, for Premier specifically, the organic growth is ongoing. We're always looking to refresh and review, and the efficiency come through. As I said, the abalone farm, we're increasing. And again, we're looking continuously for acquisitions. So either locally, we also have looked at prospects offshore, and we're getting closer and closer to making a decision. Research obviously is important. It takes a bit more effort, but I think we found mechanisms to kind of look at opportunities offshore. Low risk, obviously, or minimal risk, high returns, obviously low price. Okay, the health and beauty, I'm going to touch on these ones, which are smaller parts, but I think it's important because this is kind of, these are the next growth areas we believe. The health and beauty, and Don Curry is at the back. Maybe Don, you just stand so they can, I think you, alright. Don has been associated with the group for about 20 years, but he joined us and he used to be the MD for Estee Lauder. And you'll see the remarkable value Don has brought to the group as well. The reason I asked him to stand is because he's new. The others, I'm sure most of you know what Samir looks like and Naid looks like, but I'll get to Naid still. Anyway, so as I said, it's also diversified, and it's also got some cosmetics, which I'll take you through, and also an agricultural produce part, which we use in the agri sector. Here's some of our brands. Again, that's the Vibaxin. It's in the agricultural area. This part of the business took a bit of a dip last year, even though it's improved this current year because of the drought issue. A lot of the growth has come from these brands. Some of you will recognize some of the brands: Gatineau, Nooks, Southies, and RVB. We're hoping to make some announcements on that in the next few months as well, for new ranges to come through. Financial highlights on this one, as you can see, it's moved from a 14 million revenue last year to a 46 million. So the growth is there, and you can see the profit also turning here. So this could be the next big thing. Again, we'll try and build it, grow it, and see what happens. Listings, not really now. I think we'll give ourselves a bit of a break. But Don has come with a lot of energy also, and he's also quite aggressive in trying to grow the business, with our support, obviously. And we will definitely look in this area as well to kind of grow. Again, as I said, Orleans looking for new ranges, either to buy or grow. The demand for Orleans products is increasing. Every morning I use these products. That's why I look 20 years younger. Not sure what products they are. It's no-name brand, so it's a bit of a problem. Anyway, AfriNet, as I said, is also quite important. We believe that once the drought lifts, which is starting to do, we can see the uptick on that as well. And it takes a while to break into the agricultural sector because they're set in the old ways. But I think we are making good inroads there. Events and tourism, you all met Billy Domingo, festival director. He's also got a big announcement, Billy, next week? Next week on Wednesday, so watch the space. He's just signed a big artist for the jazz festival for next year. But I'm itching, but we'll leave it for next Wednesday. Anyway, the events and again, you know what ESP does. They do events and product management. Especially, we manage our own and third-party events. Produce our own, and we own our own jazz festival. The Cape Town Jazz Festival is one of the top 3 in the world. Billy and I spent some time in Orleans in May, and I can tell you, that's the heart of or the home of jazz. And yes, they're clearly much bigger than us, but I can tell you the experience is very different to ours. And when we get people from, in fact, we had some Orleans executives here in the last jazz festival year. That's why Billy and I reciprocated, and I can tell you they were overawed with what we've achieved here, with the red carpet treatment that they get here. The travel and tourism, obviously, it's a lot of synergy within the group, and as the group grows, obviously this business will grow, as you can understand the reason for buying them. There's a lot of cross-pollination between the travel and ESP and the events. And Magic, which we launched in October 2015, it's got a listenership of 187,000. It's growing quite well. It's probably going to start breaking even in the next 6 months. For radio station, within 3 years to break even on a cash basis. No bartering, and it's done quite well. Again, the jazz festival generates $500 million to the Western Cape's GDP, give and take 20 or 30 million. To the national GDP, just under $1 billion. And these are all important criteria, and I think this is, besides us making profits, I think these are quite key factors. We also produce 3,200 jobs at least at the Jazz Festival. So it's important that we understand the CSI and also the fact that we're a good corporate citizen. We take that into our model as well, so I think that's quite critical for us. Again, ESP and the travel, again, we invested in new products. In fact, I think it is public knowledge. We're doing the switching on of the lights for the mayor at the end of the year, whichever mayor. At the time we weren't sure, but I believe there's a new mayor. There's a new mayor in town. So that's another another project, and we've added 2 years ago, and we're back. So we are also going to be announcing 1 or 2 new events up north, which I think is also going to add to the bottom line. But again, this is all part of the plan to kind of reinvest. The future prospects, I said, I just spoke to most of them. As I said, there's possible events in Angola and Zambia. We did an event in Angola about 7-8 years ago. We've been invited back there. We've done the due diligence, and I think we're close to concluding. Zambia, I think, is probably closer to concluding than the other one. So, and again, we're also going to have some other events, like we had the Royal Escape at Sun City. We're probably going to have one called the Wild Escape somewhere near the Kruger. We're just waiting for sponsorship confirmation. Okay, the biotherapeutic, again, it's become less of a topic, even though we're comfortable. The growth is coming. It's one of those R&D ones. But the significance in the group now has been minimized, except if this thing gets listed in 2 or 3 years, it's the cherry on top, which I always said. But I'll just touch on some of the stuff. We have received Medical Council, Control Council approval to go to human trials with UCT as a partner. We just need to finalize all the details, but they're busy recruiting. The biosimilars, obviously, is still ongoing. There's been some challenges here, but again, there's good signs on that side, sometimes mitigated, but we're hoping to kind of work through it and eventually unlock some value. So here's the big part of the group now that's now been unlocked and shown as an associate. IO and BT. So some of you may have some questions. I'm happy to answer them afterwards. Let me just get through this. And it's important to understand that both of these are now associate. We own 49% of AO, and we own 30% of BT. And some of you may have questions around BT and how it all fits together, and but I'm happy to answer any of those ones later. Again, IO is a leading BEE. I think one of the biggest competitive advantage, amongst other things, besides the management and that, is the fact that they 75% plus BEE owned. And secondly, there are more than 35% black female owned. The new code stipulates you have to be at least 51% BEE owned and at least 30% female black owned. So we're the only company that can gladly and comfortably confirm that that's the case, that we are beyond those. And you will not believe the competitive advantage that is. We get clients and customers coming to us saying, we want to talk to you because you have the right BEE credentials. And obviously, that's exactly one of the reasons we listed the company for its future growth. In fact, the multinational contract we had, particularly, and some of the IO executives, see, they didn't just come for this, they came to the AFRICOM IT conference at the ICT, but you're welcome. Maybe if you guys, some of the guys just maybe stand up, if you don't mind, just in case there's questions that they want to ask you afterwards. Stephen's been with the group for 18 years, 20 years maybe even. Z, business development. Jenny, project management. Solo, it's also client relationships. Where's Dudley? There's the muscle man, Dudley. He's the chief operating officer, and then there's Nahid, who's got very broad shoulders at the moment. She's the acting CEO and CFO, so she's the one that controls the purse too. Anyway, so IO's management is very strong. Yes, we did have some. We did have 1 or 2 incidences with management changes, also board changes. But again, it's worth stakeholder approval. Our stakeholders, especially the PIC, has been part of that whole process. And again, maybe the way things have been, it's been tough. Again, the way the media just makes things a lot more complicated. But as far as we're concerned, we got a very good stakeholder relationship throughout shareholders. And the board of IO declared a 30 cents dividend yesterday, in fact. So I'm happy to be receiving some of it. As AEEI, obviously, not personally. Some of you will know this, the wheel. This is the wheel that drives IO, in how it works, the cloud, the premises, That's all the various sectors that we're either in or going to chase, which is quite critical. Again, we have IO Connect, IO Communications, IO Data, IO Manage, IO Apps. And again, yeah, maybe just the company, the multinational that we do run as a contract is not a South African contract only, it's international. I mean, some of our executives flew to the Eastern Europe to go and look at our contracts to make sure things are working well. So it's quite significant. Just to take you through again, as I said to you, that's very critical. Besides strong management, strong cash flow, strong everything, it's become a competitive advantage of note. Again, the channel to market with the multinational that we have, BT, we've got a strategic alliance agreement with them. There's no legacy in IO. IO has been built up from scratch over 20 years. It is what it is now. We didn't buy a company with legacy, with old ways. It's a very fresh approach. The assets, as I said, we got cash to grow the acquisition. The deal flow has increased. I had a meeting with the executives of IO last night when they released the results. So try to keep my finger on the pulse to understand exactly what's happening, and that's the feedback I got. And they did show me that they got 4.3 billion in the bank account still, which was quite clear. And again, the blue chip companies, public sector, private sector is quite important. I'll take you through the competitive advantages now. Again, some of you may or may not know where IO comes from. It started off many years ago. It's not a suddenly hopped up. It was listed last year, but it's been coming in the group for long term. It's a leading IST company. It's a top 3 integrator in the hospital system. It's got 320 national health laboratories that we manage and run. We've got about 25% of the public hospitals in the country. It's about 60 to 80 hospitals and clinics in the Western Cape that we manage. The Western Cape, arguably, but to our point, it's probably the best run hospital system in the country. The exceptional track record, Grootskate Tygerberg, Red Cross is all part of what we look after. Some of the international partners bring their clients to the Western Cape to come and look at the implementation in those specific hospitals because they're iconic. Again, there's quality annuity income coming through in IO, which obviously makes for a good business model. We've got our own IP, a lot of IP which is internally developed. And again, we've got solid value-added reseller agreements, so a lot of our international partners give us the source code and they will allow us to manage and change the codes, which is a trust. It's obviously, it shows the trust that they have in our ability. And we've got a very strong management team. We've come through the system. I'm not going to spend too much time, but if you just have a look at it, this is obviously how the whole tree fits together. Again, on these slides, you can ask any of those people, especially Dudley, Nahid, Stephen, I guess, maybe around these things. If you want to ask them any questions about IO. I think one of the key ones here is that was the plan for 2018 to just make sure that the base is in place. Sign a multinational contract, which they've done for 2018. We're again looking at new opportunities. As you saw, there was 2 announcements made subsequent to balance sheet date. It was the Sizwe deal, and then again there was the Vunani deal. And again, it's all structured within structure, but I think the opportunities are coming. The deal flow has increased significantly also, and we're looking forward to hearing from them on closing certain deals. And again, 2020, so 2019, 2020, as we said, just give us a bit of runway of 2 to 3 years, and I believe the share will do well. The business is growing significantly as well. Just to unwrap it again, the financial performance, that's what the IT group's done. 36% increase. This is how, not from our perspective, that's obviously what comes to our numbers, but from a group, the IO group, if you look at the growth year on year, it's quite significant. And we believe it will grow exponentially in the next few years as well. Pipeline, again, the strategy, the go-to market, we're always getting customers coming to us and saying, can we talk, what are you doing for this one, we'd like to be part of it. And we're also getting a lot of deal flow coming from various areas, people wanting to be part of it. In fact, there are a few target companies sitting amongst you. Again, they haven't utilized, even after all the once-off costs and the listing costs, they're still sitting with 4.3 billion plus in the bank account. So they're also becoming as prudent as we are. I think it's maybe just how they came through the system in the group. So the deal flow is quite active as well. As I said, we took a majority stake, actually it's 55, into Sizwe. We're hoping to close that. It's gone in for Competitions Commission approval. 800 people is employed by that business. You can already see how this group is going to grow. It makes £1 billion turnover. It's got an EBITDA of 70. We paid 165 million for 75%. So that's the kind of deals and the pricing, which I think is competitive. But I think the fact that we also assist those companies to grow even further with our credentials is key. The Vunani, as I said, there's a lot of. I mean, most of you know Vunani. I think I've got Ethan and I've got Mark Anderson, who's been great in this whole process over time, and I think we'll do a lot more together. There's also been a 100 million fintech fund, because we're getting a lot of new guys coming to the market, looking for growth and looking for funding. And who knows where the next best thing is going to come from, where the next Mark Shuttleworth is going to come from. And we believe we want to play a part in growing those small entities as well. BT, this is the old, you guys must be familiar with BT by now. We own 30% of BT. We bought in 2009. It has strong and stable profits. We get regular annual dividends, which I'll talk to just now. And again, the estimated current value of BT is 990 million, which has been done by external parties, JSE approved. On the strategic side, Saab, as you know, we own a 25 plus 1% stake in Saab. That's what Saab does. 85% of the business export, so it doesn't involve local government too much, and they pay annual dividends as well. Signia, we own 1.7% of Signia. We do get regular dividends. The share price is not doing that well, but we're obviously reviewing it on an annual basis. Pioneer, we own 0.75%. It's approximate value of 80. We bought it for about 87 million with finance costs. The current value is 168. They've been under a bit of pressure, but again, we're in it for the long haul, and we're hoping it will turn. And we'll see. And I think the BE, the structure we did the long term, I think unwinds next year, and we'll consider what to do with it. But at least we're above water there. Just some market information. The share price, 2016 was 3 Rand, went to 4 Rand 93 last year, August. It's now at 4 Rand-ish. The whole market's down by 25-30%. Maybe some people will say that they still don't understand the market. Maybe the noise around the group has had an effect on it. However, fortunately for us, a lot of the shareholders that buys into AEEI, they're long-term shareholders, or we'd like to have the long-term shareholders. As you know, the last few years we've been paying regular dividends, which is important, and I think that's key. And we're hoping that obviously, and I mean, I'll make an announcement just now where it will affect, could not necessarily affect it, but what we say about the foreign and what the directors would value it as well. Market capitalization is 1.9. It's again, we'll clarify. We're trading at a PE ratio of 9. The earnings for this year is 10 Rand. Obviously, it's the one deemed disposal, which is in there. The NAV of the NAV per share is 10 Rand. So, I mean, that should already tell you where we're at as far as our business concern. And again, the company NAV is sitting at 15 Rand. And if you can see all the increases from year on year, it's been quite steady. It's not once off. And okay, so here, the sum of the parts. This is how the directors believe. So we believe our 55% stake in Premier Fishing is sitting in that. I think it's discounted. It's sitting at 4 Rand, but if you look at the market, the way it is everything, I don't think there's a share that's actually up year on year, or very unlikely. So I mean, if you look at a company whose shares trading at 4 Rand and they're paying a 25-cent dividend, and the prospects looks better. IO, last year I was asked the question, how could we put the IT sector at 3 billion? If you open the paper, check the indices on the JSE, that one there is definitely justifiable. The PT one is sitting on $1 billion, so our IT group, our associates are worth over 8 to 9 billion. Events and tourism are sitting at 80, but again, as I said, that's a different type of business. The health and beauty one, as you know, is growing quite steadily and nicely. The biotech is sitting in our books at 150 million. and other strategics sitting, which includes Saab, includes the Signius, includes Pioneer. So the total sum of the parts value is sitting just over 10 billion, just under 11. And if you look at earnings multiple, it could easily be 12 rand, and a company investment sum of the parts at least 21 to 22 rand. Vision 2020. Again, we said 2050 we're going to list. We're going to list the IT and the fishing brands, the IT and the fishing business separately, which we've done. So we can tick those off. So we're paying regular dividends to the shareholders for the last 3 or 4 years, including interims and final. We want to maintain and improve our governance. I mean, we've been winning awards in the top 10 for governance every year. Again, stakeholders, a lot of my time gets spent on stakeholder management and relationships. Again, when I create employment, as you can see, the numbers of employment in this group has grown year on year quite significantly. Profits on a sustainable business, on good business practices, obviously quite key. On the financial, we wanted to grow revenue, which we did, and hence me unwrapping the revenue in the way we did. Operating profit growth, cash flow growth, net NAV, and total assets. All of those have improved year on year over the last 3 to 4 years. The non-financial, to maintain our PE certificate, and we again back to a level 1 PE certificate as a group. We also at AEEI level, I think we are 73% plus PE black ownership, and I think a 38% female ownership. So again, our competitive advantages, and we're already seeing multinationals coming to talk to us because of those criteria as well. Okay, the rest, again, as I said, is ongoing. We again want to grow organically. You know, we've grown organically regularly by at least 15-20%. The organic growth will come, will slow down as normal, and hence we're going into acquisitions, which I think is quite key. But the deal flow, again, the branding, and sometimes maybe the media, even whether it's fake news or otherwise, the brand has been built. I think AEI brand, even the IO brand, everybody knows IO these days, for better or worse, but it's out there. And it comes off the tongue very easily. IO. Anyway, again, as I said, we listed the fishing business separately. We can tick and we'll celebrate that. Engage target companies, it's ongoing. We completed the Lado at least one in the year, and again the business doubled. Submission of long-term fishing rights, the 2020 fishing rights, they say the process will start probably first quarter of next year, 2019, so it's going to be a busy planning year for the fishing business and industry. The Abalone farm is ongoing, and I said we'll do a visit, and we believe by the end of next year, mid to end of next year, we'll have a 300-ton farm. And we're happy to show all of you the progress done since the last time we met. Outside core engagement is continuous, and we're working closely with the department to understand their thinking, to build it into our model. Because it's going to change, it's going to happen. It's like BE, you know, we can't deny the fact that it's going to happen. You've got to play soccer with a soccer ball and not a rugby ball, and that's all we're trying to do, go with the right tools. The IT, we've separately listed the IT business. We've concluded 2 acquisitions over the last 2 years, and sorry, in the last month, I think it was 2 months since balance sheet date. I think they bought Sizwe and obviously Funani within the structure. They're engaging numerous target companies. I can tell you the deal flow has increased significantly. We get emails regularly in various areas. Most times people will contact AEI, either in the fishing, IT, healthcare, whatever it is, and we'll redirect it. But we see the deal flow come through, and it's quite significant to see that. I mean, especially in this market now, it's a buyer's market out there, and we sharpen our pencils, and we ask everybody else to do that too. On the events and tourism, as I said to you, there's a lot of synergy between the group. The travel has grown significantly also because of the group. Magic has grown and completed, in fact, 187,000 listenership. Travel, the Tripos travel, we took over control of that about 3 years ago. It's also turned around with revenue increased. And ESP is looking to do new events, as I said, I discussed it earlier on. And there's a lot of new possibilities and opportunities on the strategic side. Multinationals are coming to talk to us, and we're talking to them as well. And I think there could be some opportunities because of our credentials and also our track record. Very important. Sorry, three things: our credentials, BE credentials, our track record, and our governance. I think those three, as a BE company, I think is second to none. I don't think there's too many that can hold their head up high and say they've achieved all three of those as a triangle. But we've done it. The network and value add of the team, and this I'm talking about the broader team. Again, we're a top African group. Local International, we seem to be the partner of choice. That's getting re-energized now. We're getting calls, we're getting discussions, meetings, strong network within the BRICS, within South Africa, internationally, the World Economic Forum. Those networks are paying off. AEEI has been listed now for 18 years. So it's not a new company anymore. It's made a mark, but 18 years is not a long time either. And again, our good stakeholder relationships. Those are some of our partners. This is just on our integrated report, on our value and our achievements we've done over the last few years. Most of you know some of those achievements. Those are the directors of the group, of the AEEI group. When I'm in trouble, I go for divine intervention to my reverend. He's been great, he's been excellent. I think he's guided us through tough times. But again, the results shows. And all of them contribute, and I said all of these people have the quality to make real strategic decisions. As I said to you, we got a few things right, and it's thanks to all of them in their own way. They come with different dynamics. Some come with a financial background, some come with a socialist background, some come completely left-wing, but it all adds to the proper decisions, and I think that I want to credit all of them for the diversity and the decision-making. I only implement dividends. Last year we paid a final dividend of 5.5 cents. This year is a dividend of 12 cents. That's an increase, that's an increase of 118%. The board decided that because the sum of the parts and what we believe the share value is, the board is considering buying back some of its own shares. Because at the levels they are now, it's quite cheap. And I think this is quite key, because again, if you think about our shareholders, a lot of them are long term. This is another way of saying thank you to them. So it's either pay a dividend or this. We've decided this year that irrespective of paying a dividend of 12 cents, we're putting some money aside to buy some of the shares as well on the open market. So to sum up, last year we paid, as you saw, a 5.5 cents final dividend. Then we had a 2 cents interim dividend. So total dividend was paid last year of 7.5 cents. This year, it's a total dividend of 15.3 because we paid a 3.3 cent dividend interim. So you can see the kind of growth coming through, and we're saying thank you to our shareholders for staying the course and backing us all the time, irrespective of the challenges we have and the market has generally. And yeah, I'm going to just flip through it so you can just see some of the brands. You may be familiar with some of them, but you can see the brands growing and growing and growing. So considering where we come from, there's quite a lot of significant brands. So to conclude, we made a cash profit of 266. Deemed disposal, not deemed disposal, that's key for me. That's what runs a business. So the cash in the business increased by 91% year on year. If you want any detailed explanation of the deemed stuff, the auditors are here as well. I worry about the cash. Again, to summarize, revenue is up, the profitability is up. Again, the cash is key. Assets has gone up. Net asset value has gone up for the group. The NAV per share and the earnings per share is quite significant. Again, this is a slide which I think, and some people on the YouTube may not have this slide. But if you were to do back of a matchbox, and I don't think it's rocket science, some people, in fact, I've had calls from stakeholders just to ask me how to unwrap it. As AEI, we generally get a dividend of about 20 million from B team. We generally get a dividend of between 20 and 24 million from SAB. We get from Pioneer about 6 million. IO just paid yesterday, by the way, 100 million. We're getting about 50. Premier Fishing paid 65. We get about 35. Signia about that. Dividends alone to this group is 136. We're only getting some of those things. So you can do the numbers and see where we could end of next year. So we've demystified the group. This excludes operational cash flow and otherwise, but it just gives you a sense that, you know, the plan we put in place 5 years ago is coming to fruition. So I'm definitely going to celebrate with an orange juice later. And if somebody wants to go and spike it for me without me knowing, that's also okay. The cash from operations, as you can see, again, cash is king, and we up them. Cash tells the real story, right? Again, this all of it's up except for the debt has come down. Every other KPI has improved. So I think we're very happy and very comfortable that this year, even though it was a challenging year, the whole team, I must say, Sherry, Chantel, Feroza, Nahid, Samir, Malik, all the IO guys, all directors that's here, I think they've done extremely well by staying focused. The media gets to people, but you know, in business, if you want to be a tall tree like we are, you've got to be able to stand the ground, and you've got to be able to have a thick skin. The whole team has grown up in this organization over the most of them been at least in the group for 10 to 15 years. They've come through the system, they've learned the hard way, they've learned lessons within a bubble, and it's been protected in a kind of way. And I think that shows the resilience of this group. Fake news will be fake news. We stayed focused. We delivered. I'm happy with the results. I think my shareholders and stakeholders will be happy with it. I'm sure I'll get calls later once they know what's going on. Again, just to summarize the dividends, and then I'm happy to answer any questions. Okay. Okay, yeah, we'll take questions online and over here. There's a mic. Once you got a question, just put your hand up. We'll give you a mic. Maybe introduce yourself, and then for the audience on the other hand.
Hi. First of all, I'm Audrey Senekal-de-Wet from Business Report. I'm a bit scared to ask a question now because I'm from the media. I'm very blessed to know the company for most of those 18 years. So I was trying to look at a question to ask, and I really battled to do that since I know the company very well for many, many years. So congratulations from my side to Khalid and his team. The only question that I can ask is where to from here? What can we look forward to?
Where to from here? Well, there's a lot of work to be done. As I said, we're now planning 2025 and 2030. We're probably going to put in place as well one time. I think we'll obviously look to strategically assist some of our subsidiaries like Premier Fishing to grow further because we've got quite a lot of expertise from a corporate finance point of view to assist. We've told the IO guys to focus on operational stuff to get things going, and obviously there will be significant growth coming from there. We believe our 49% in due course will be worth a whole lot more than it is currently, because that pie is going to grow. Because we get opportunities to us which we redirect to our IT group. The multinationals, the BEE credentials, I think, in fact, just for some of you who may or may not know, last week, Thursday, Friday, the defense industry promulgated the new BEE codes as well. It's also a 51% requirement. Why I mention that is the other industries, financial service and others, will also follow. And I think we're sitting very pretty in a way, looking for opportunities to come in that area. People know our credentials. I mean, we've said it many times. We've won awards for those things. And in various industries, the financial services, defense, the fishing, it's all got to do with the codes. And I think we're well positioned. I said to you that 3 items that we have: our track record of performance and management, our BE credentials, and our governance are impeccable. So I believe we become a partner of choice again. And again, as I said, we've got other areas in our business which seem small now, which we'll focus on and grow. So I think we'll, again, look at strategic stakes in other companies up to 30%, depending on the size, the multinationals, and hopefully get beyond 51, but it depends on the nature of the businesses. But generally, operationally, we'll stick to what we have here, a business that complements our existing business and our model. Okay.
Hi Khalid, I'm also quasi-media, but I'm not scared. I've been covering your company for a very long time, and again, congratulations on Premier Fishing for this last 12 months. I think there's great things coming in the next 12 months. When we sat here a year ago, the big quandary for AEEI was BT. You're looking to sell it into IO and take the cash from that sale. And there was lots of market talk at that time of potential special dividends, share buybacks, which you've mentioned, and other transactions. Can you give us an update as to what's currently going on in BT and the prospects of that associate going forward? And is it still your aim to pay back that money to shareholders? And what sort of quantum of share buybacks would you do, given that you believe the stock is currently heavily undervalued? Thank you.
Okay, so you asked a few questions. So that was Anthony Clark from Punani. Okay, so you asked a few questions. Okay, so the big one is BT. As you know, we always said that because of our strategic listing of IO, we want to make sure that AEI doesn't necessarily get conflicted with companies that we associated to or otherwise. IO has become a technology business, and we believed from the outset that BT, being a technology, should be sitting under IO. So at least it takes out any conflicts or potential competition issues or otherwise. So we agreed that that will be sold on to IO. It's a process of going through getting shareholder approval on both sides. Multinationals are multinationals. Maybe just on that, one of the other competitive advantages that I think we have as AEI is our agility to make decisions. Because our board can meet very quickly to decide on certain things. Multinationals have their own process. I mean, they have South Africa reporting either into Hong Kong. It's now moved to Dubai. It's not Hong Kong. And then they in turn report into the UK. So we're still in the process and waiting for approvals or otherwise. We were hoping that it would have been done, but I think we'll wait and see when it is happening. However, to your one question, if it gets transferred and we unlock some cash, then obviously there's a possibility for special dividends and or buying back further of its shares. The share buyback I'm talking about here, as you know, most of you know, AEI has got mostly long-term shareholders. So we believe that there are not too many smaller shareholders that want to exit. And we want to put aside, look, it could be, as a percentage, it's very difficult to say, but we don't believe, I reckon about 85% of our shareholders to 90% of our shareholders are long-term shareholders. And of the balance of 10 to 15, there may be some guys who want to sell out. Because a lot of these guys bought these shares at either 1 Rand, 1 Rand 52 Rand a while ago. Because if you remember, about 6 years ago, the share was sitting at 30, 40 cents. So if you bought in early by unlocking now at 4 and you're making some good value. So we're looking to buy back whatever could be there and to mop up. So. And again, if you look at from a reporting point of view, it'll be easier for me to talk about one associate being IO who owns all the IT sectors. Otherwise, it becomes a bit confusing as well. Does that answer your question, Anthony? Next. Anything online there, Feroza? Abe? Yeah, Abe? You've got to ask your traditional questions. No?
Well, congratulations on results. The area that's a bit vague to me is this biotherapeutics. Why do you consider that in the next 2 years you could list it? Maybe you can give us some idea what's happening there. Or is it a representative here of that company that can tell us more?
There should be somebody, but I can talk to it. So, as I said, you know, we've developed the DCV, dendritic cell vaccine with UCT. It's already worked so what's happened is that we've tried the vaccine in a cell, human cell, in an incubator, and it's worked. So obviously there's progress there. We now, before we could get human trials, we had to get MCC approval, which we have. We just got it this year. So now we're busy recruiting human trials, humans to kind of do that. And you'll be surprised, and it's sad to see that we're actually getting quite a lot of people who are to some extent at the edge of, they're prepared to try anything to get better. And that obviously, I think once that human trials happens, the significant value will be shown. And with biotech business, every time you reach a milestone, the value increases as well. So we're hoping that by the next time we stand here, we would have had human trials, or at least far down the line. So there is significant value. But as I said, you know, it is the cherry on top for us, and I believe that there is some value will come down the line. Our dependence, however, is much less on biotech, but it's something to change the world, and I think we always have an innovative part of our group that looks at that. You know, we want to change the world and make the world a better place. Besides CSI and transformation, you know, and as you know, our founder is a medical doctor, and it's important that I think his heart is close. He's got a strong heart, and he wants to change the world also for the better of everybody. And I think we want to respect that, and I think it's the right thing to do.
Thank you. And another question on my mind is that, considering your interest in magic radio, do you have any intention of getting further into the media?
Yeah, the only thing I want to do, Abe, I want to ask you to do the advert for us again that you've got on the jetty. I saw. Can I tell them, Abe? I saw an ad of you on TV. A full Monty on the back end. But it was a good ad, I must say. It was a good ad. Look, we won't get into the media business ourselves. It's not for us. So Magic obviously was what was started in a certain context, and it will complement our jazz festival, our new events. So that's the context that we bought it. So it wasn't that we want to get into new media space at all as AEEI. So the media's got its own challenges, and I think we want to focus on what we do best at this level. Any more? Well, most of the executives are around. If you've got any specific questions for them, then feel free. I'm sure you know who they are already by now. More than that, thank you very much, guys. Appreciate your time and effort. Thank you.